Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Watchlist here at SmallCapVoice. It is Kevin Gray here with Stuart Smith to go through some of our community submissions here. How you doing today, Stuart?
I'm great, Kevin. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of invited yourself, so we had to do that one. It is your company after all.
I appreciate the invite all the same.
So we're going to start off with Stuart this week, and we're going to do two stocks that he selected here. Then we're going to come back to me, and I'm going to do two stocks here. I know mine came from the community watch list. Yours, I think, either came from the watch list or other things that we just got out in the peripherals there. But either way, let's get into it. What do you got first?
Yeah, I think first I want to get this one because it's big news. It's in the battery market, a market that we know very well, a market that we track for not only our own customers, but our own personal investments. Dragonfly Energy secures $30 million deal with Stryten Energy for battery expansion. This is a huge deal. One of the things that jumps out at me as a guy that represents a company in this industry is how this was written, how it was followed up by Benzinga and others seeking alpha very quickly. The press release doesn't hide anything. The details are right in there, and they always say the devil's in the details. Well, this is just the opposite of that. What a great piece of news for this company, a domestic company going after the global market. Quotes from both companies. So let me give you here. Dragonfly Holdings Corp is DFLI, up 10% on this news. A little interesting there, though. I got to be honest with you. Dragonfly Energy Holdings, it's up 10%. The volume is astronomically higher than it normally is. So I have not gone through the financials, but you can kind of tell there's a bit of an overhang they're chewing through here because with this kind of spike in the volume, you'd kind of expect more in terms of price appreciation. But that's great. Look, you've got all kinds of new blood being pumped into this stock. This news is out today. The date line's July 30th. This one's you've got to add to your watch list because, I mean, honestly, if it is only up 10% on this kind of news, and this is the kind of news they're going to be putting out in succession, because if you read it, there's more to come here between these two companies. There's a relationship being born out of this. So DLFI traded on the NASDAQ. I think it's one that our own Jay Rab brought to our attention. That's how I did find this one this morning. And it is one that I took a little stake in myself because I wanted to see. I was a little disappointed, to see that it was only up 8 cents when I bought it, but a good one to look at. This market, it's hard to get away from it. I mean, batteries, battery safety, battery testing, it's a massive new market that didn't even exist 10, 15 years ago. So this is one that we keep talking about because everybody's focused on AI, which foreshadows my next pick, but let's go to your pick.
Yeah. And so the next one on mine is out of our community submission here. It's ISSC, which is Innovative Solutions and Support. This one was a community submission, so I had to do a lot of due diligence here. But what they do is flight display systems for aerospace application. And this is some of the most advanced technology I've ever seen in my entire life. If you have ever sat inside of the cockpit of, say, a Boeing 747 or any of the other planes by Airbus or anything like that, oh, wow. It is just to understand what all these displays do and things like that. It is so intricate. And to know the companies behind them, to see how their technology comes to market, that's fascinating to me. And so this is why this company is doing fairly well, even though they're down for the day. We're looking at a market cap of about 100 million. They're sitting on the NASDAQ under the ticker ISSC, and they're down, let's see here, about 3% for the day, 2.5%. It's a strong company in a strong market. One thing that I do want to point out, though, is a few days ago on Thursday, July 25th here, Innovative Solutions and Support announces the acquisition of additional Honeywell product lines. Now, Honeywell is a big name in this space, and to see them pick up an additional product line really puts their footing in this space at a much firmer positioning. But that's what I got for my one here.
Yeah, and I do like this one right now because it's consolidated to a certain point. It's had a rough 2024. When I looked at the chart that I just had open that I just moved off of, you're actually down about 28% for the year on this stock, but it also seems to be coming up to a point where it is now starting to trend back up. It's developed a base. Looking at the 6-month chart, so we really kind of went $4.92. But, this is coming off of being at about $8.29. So you've got a couple of bucks of headroom here. Might be a good time to take a deeper dive into this, do your due diligence, maybe do some little bit of technical analysis on this stock. But from what I see, in the 6-month chart, it's definitely getting more healthy here. And that's probably based on the news flow. So I
Mhm.
said AI, and that is because one of our former guests, and we actually extended a free interview to the CEO because we really love the news for this company, and that's nexttech3d.ai. Evan Gappelberg was an awesome guest and really fun person to talk to. The company's got a lot of divisions. There's a lot to learn there. We do have that on our YouTube page. Here's the news for them out today, July 30th. Nextech 3D AI reports preliminary 70% gross margin or gross profit margin in Q2 2024, revenue of 1.2 million. Byline here, 70% gross margin marks a new 6-year high for the company. Look at that, 6-year high for the company. This is not a Johnny come lately company. Evan is a very savvy CEO. We got to know him a little bit. We got to listen to him. There's, again, multiple divisions within this company, which means multiple revenue streams. They've got a lot going on here. There's a lot within this press release. They do a good job of keeping their shareholders informed. I personally am going to reach back out to them, see if I can get them on the OTC QX, I should say. It's NEXCF on the Canadian Stock Exchange. The CSE, it's NTAR. Frankfurt, you can look that up in the press release. But again, Nextech AI, Nextech3D.ai is the company. And I want you to take a closer look at them using that ticker symbol. But Kevin, you remember this company. I think it was February, maybe January, maybe March that we did
Oh
the
yeah.
interview with this company.
Definitely a fun one, and I think Evan was great on the show. But also one thing that I want to point out with not only this stock but the others that we've mentioned here, we're at that point. It's kind of in the IR game we call this the summer slump. You know, investors are going out on vacation. They're not really paying attention to the market. There's so much happening during the summer that it's just everybody's a little bit busy. And so there's this idiom that I keep seeing over and over and over again in some of the Facebook groups that I hang out in, or some of the Reddit subreddits for stocks, and especially in the penny market: tech over technicals. When you look at a company like Next Tech, it's really something that stands out to me. The tech is next gen, and that's something that really, really is going to appeal regardless of what the technicals of the chart are. And I think sometimes traders, they focus too much on technicals and not necessarily on the technology that a company is bringing to the table. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Next Tech for the 1 month chart. You're at 44% up. I mean, that's a fantastic time. And it still looks like you have a little bit more headroom based on where they're at over the past year or so. And so, yeah, I think that's a great selection here. And that's kind of what was really fun about this last one. It's a great selection from the community, but they're an existing client. And so we know this company like the back of our hands. But DFCO popped up on our community watch list this week for well, just this week, so we could put it on our watch list this month. That's Delrata Financial Corporation. We have done countless interviews. Well, actually, it's more like 6, so we can count them. We've done about 6 interviews with Brian Bonner over there, with Kyle McCollum, and just most recently, we brought in Dan Riley, the CEO of their subsidiary, the wholly owned subsidiary Genific. Genific is the subsidiary bringing in approximately 80% of the revenues over there at DFCO. And I think it was one of the better interviews that we've done this year, because typically we only talk to the public companies and they want to talk directly to the shareholders. Dan kind of had a little bit different of an approach because he's a subsidiary. And so he came in here, he was ready to talk about revenues, he's ready to talk about acquisitions, strategies. He was really approaching this from a little bit different angle. I love that interview. I'm going to put it up in the description here. But Stuart, what's your take on DFCO, our clients over there?
Yeah, I mean, I know when you look at the company, it screams holding company. It's really, I mean, in its truest form, yes, that is what the company is, but it's a heat pump company. And right now it's Genific. And so, especially pharmacy company, a compounding pharmacy company, an infusion pharmacy company. So they are hitting the trifecta of what a pharmacy is. I had to ask what each one of those, what is the delineating factor between those three. Dan did a great job of explaining that. He also explained the history of the company, which is, precedes being a part of Dalrata as well. Genific is a standalone company that can survive on its own, but is thriving now with Dalrata, the public company, and they're leveraging the ability to access capital to perpetuate their business model. And they're doing so quite efficiently, as the interview points out, but also as the financials have pointed out. But Dalrata can't be looked at as a company. They're just pre-orders currently, but the orders are, we're really on the precipice of seeing Dalrata flourish in the latter half of 2024 into the company that we knew the company would be. I mean, the volume's grown a little stagnant over the summer months. It does have some great days. The price has stayed relatively the same, so that shows the stability for those who wanted to say, "Hey, I might take a peek at this company, put it on my watch list, maybe poke around in the market on it." Really look at the news for this company. Really try to understand what a heat pump is. It may not be the sexiest story in that regard, but it really is, because there's places like New York and New York City who are saying,
Mhm.
look, by 2025, you've got to start the transition. You cannot use these old technologies that are polluting our environment. You have to move to something like the Dalrata heat pump system, which is the only heating and cooling system currently that I'm aware of. So it does both product, or it does both sides of the equation for you. And again, New York is it's the canary in the coal mine. It's going to be the first, possibly, to mandate this, but the whole country is going to follow quickly behind this. We know we battle pollution, we battle emissions, we battle all these things, and it does take a while for us to overcome some of the other lobbyists and things of that nature. But it's like when people said electric vehicles will never be a success. Well, Tesla might have a different point on that. So
Mhm.
Dalrata, Genific, it's really always a great interview. And right now we're circling around their one of their marketing or sales and marketing directors as well. We're going to try to get him on. And of course, the company also announced being part of the Minority Business Roundtable, which is government contracts. And we're trying to get the interview with Roger Campos, Brian Bonner, to talk about that in sort of a roundtable format of its own. It's going to be a good second half of the year for Dalrata, if not great, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I will say this is, if you have not seen a picture of those heat pumps, I'll put one up on the screen here right now. Those heat pumps, they are sleek. They look clean. I mean, if you have any experience in the home building space, the Dalrata heat pumps are probably one of the sleekest, most aesthetically pleasing heat pumps that I've ever laid eyes on myself. But
Yeah, put it right next to your Tesla solar, and you've got a house that looks like it's straight out of Star Wars. I mean, it is. It's
exactly.
cutting edge technology. It's
Mhm.
very cool. And it's the kind of thing that, as millennials come up into the home buying years, they're not going to look at some of these archaic technologies. They're only going to be looking towards something like the Dalrata solutions.
Correct. Yeah, and I agree with that. And that's why Dalrata makes out the fourth company on our watch list here. Let's go ahead and recap them again. Number one, we had Dragonfly. That was DFLI on the NASDAQ. Next up, we have Innovative Solutions and Support. That's ISSC, also on the NASDAQ. Then we had Nextech AR. That's NEXCF. And then last but not least, DFCO on the OTCQB. All right, everybody. This is Kevin Gray. And for Stuart Smith, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button, and if you want to see the interviews that we've been talking about Dalrata, make sure to check out this video right here. It's a really good one.